Bitcoin is supposed to be the future of money, right? But if you ever stopped and wondered, why can't you just, buy a coffee with it? If that question's ever crossed your mind, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into the brilliant solution designed to fix Bitcoin's number one problem. It's speed. We're talking about the Lightning Network. I mean, it's the perfect real-world test, isn't it? And this simple question gets right to the heart of Bitcoin's biggest challenge. The answer really boils down to two things: speed and cost. And honestly, it's the fundamental hurdle that's kept Bitcoin from becoming a part of our daily lives for years. Okay, just look at the difference here. It is staggering. Bitcoin's main network, what we call its first layer, is unbelievably secure, but it can only handle about 7 transactions per second for the entire planet. Now, you put that next to a major credit card company that's churning through thousands every second, and you see the problem right away. It just wasn't built for that kind of speed. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into that big speed bump Bitcoin has. Then we'll introduce the hero of the story, the Lightning Network. We're going to break down exactly how it works, how it keeps your money safe, look at some of the risks, and finally, talk about what this all means for the future of payments. Okay, first up, let's really get into the speed bump. I want you to imagine every single Bitcoin transaction, whether it's sending $1 billion or just buying a slice of pizza, having to get in the exact same single file line. Every single one has to wait to get verified and permanently stamped onto the blockchain. Now, this makes it super secure, but it also creates a massive traffic jam, which is why transactions can be slow and sometimes really expensive. And listen, this isn't just some small inconvenience. As this quote from a recent academic paper points out, this is the core struggle for pretty much all blockchains. It's the big wall standing in the way of mainstream adoption, and it's why that cup of coffee has been so hard to buy with crypto for so long. So, what's the fix? Well, this is where the Lightning Network comes in. It's this incredibly clever second layer that sits on top of Bitcoin, and it basically creates an express lane for all those small, everyday transactions. The whole idea here is actually pretty simple, but really powerful. Instead of shouting out every single little payment to the entire Bitcoin network, what if you could just open up a private channel, a direct line with someone else? You could send money back and forth, instantly, privately, a million times if you wanted, and only the final result gets recorded on the main blockchain. So to put it a little more formally, the Lightning Network uses these private off-chain payment channels to build this huge interconnected web. It lets you bypass all the congestion on the main network, and because of that, you get transactions that are basically instant, super cheap, and way more private. Okay, so this digital bar tab, how does it actually work? Well, it's surprisingly straightforward, and it really just breaks down into 3 simple phases. You open the tab, you use the tab, and then you close it. So first, 2 people open this tab. They do that by creating what's called a funding transaction on the main Bitcoin blockchain. Now, this is so important. This is one of only 2 times they ever have to touch that slow main network. Then, in the middle, they can go wild, sending countless payments back and forth off-chain. And finally, when they're all done, they settle up with a single closing transaction. That's it. 2 little entries on the main blockchain could represent thousands or even millions of tiny payments. What's happening inside that channel is pretty cool. You've essentially created a private shared bank account, a special multi-sig wallet where both people have to sign off on any changes. None of that back and forth is visible to the public network, and that is the secret sauce. That's how Lightning gets its incredible speed and keeps fees so low. Okay, but wait a minute. All this private, off-the-books activity, it brings up a really big question. If no one else is watching, what stops one person from trying to cheat the other one? How do you actually keep everybody honest? Let's get really specific with it. Let's say you've paid your friend some Bitcoin inside your channel. What's to stop them from just ignoring that payment and trying to broadcast an older version of the balance from back when they had more money? Well, the system's first line of defense is something called commitment transactions. Think of it like this. After every single payment, you both digitally sign a new receipt that says, okay, as of right now, this is the correct balance. You don't show it to anyone else, but you both have a cryptographically proven copy ready to go. So how do you make sure that new receipt is the only one that counts? This is the genius part. You use something called a revocation key. It's the secret weapon. Every time you sign a new receipt, you also exchange a secret code that makes the old receipt completely invalid. And here's the kicker. If your friend tries to cheat by broadcasting that old invalidated receipt, you can use that secret key to immediately claim all the money in the channel. It's a brilliant piece of game theory that makes cheating an incredibly expensive mistake to make. But, no system is perfect. The Lightning Network isn't without its own unique challenges. And in fact, some deep analysis of the protocol has found some pretty interesting scenarios where things can get complicated. One of the most fascinating ones has this really dramatic name, the Payout race. And it might sound like something from a spy movie, but it's a very real vulnerability that can pop up from something as simple as your internet connection dropping. So here's how it could go down. Alice sends Bob an updated payment, but right before Bob can send back the confirmation, their connection cuts out. Now you're in this dangerous gray area. Alice has no idea if Bob got the update, but it's possible he did. This can trigger a frantic race to the main blockchain, with both sides trying to publish their version of the channel's balance, and it can actually lead to an honest person losing money. Now, even with risks like that, which, by the way, developers are working hard to fix, the Lightning Network is a massive leap forward. So let's zoom out and just look at what this all means for Bitcoin as a global payment system. And this isn't just an idea on a whiteboard anymore. Right now, there are over 85,000 active payment channels running on the network. That number is growing every single day, which just goes to show you this is a living, breathing network that real people are using to solve a real problem. At the end of the day, the goal is simple, but it's also profound. It's about unlocking the true potential of Bitcoin, transforming it from just a store of value into a global instant payment network. It's about finally being able to buy that cup of coffee and a whole lot more. And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? With these incredible second-layer solutions like the Lightning Network getting stronger and more popular every day, are we watching the moment that Bitcoin finally smashes through its biggest barrier and goes truly mainstream? That's the billion-dollar question, and frankly, the answer is being written as we